Because yes, there's the appearance of trust to be able to say, yeah, I'm going to trust you can work at home. But now, it's hard, probably for us on the outside, it's probably difficult for us to be able to say, well, because there's quality control metrics, and that's actually good business. I mean, you've got to be efficient. But, you know, what kind of as a supervisor, not knowing your employees, that's hard. That doesn't demonstrate trust or encourage motivation, things like that. So I mean, it's interesting. Yeah. Go ahead.
My question is this something that's new? Has it always been this way?
It's been this way for about the past 10 years. My mom's worked there for a while. She's actually in the top part of reservation, and I've just watched it go downhill.
Has
They
it gotten
used to
worse
care.
over
They used to
time?
do stuff. Is that my key? No, it's my pen. Okay. But what?
Has it gotten worse over time?
Mm-hmm.
See, and that's the crazy thing is and this gets into more, well, I guess it's trust anyways. You get a manager up there, or even just a general direction of management where they trust people less and less and less. And the more people, they kind of, they were pretty happy over here, there was a couple things you could do wrong, but then they started focusing on those wrong ones, and then it just keeps on going. The pendulum just gets out of control.
It's gotten so bad that the employees don't trust each other. They will go and talk bad about each other. It's pretty much like a high school, and it's really bad because they're adults and they're acting like high schoolers. Imagine with all those things that they've been through shoved into they use Facebook and they talk to each other through Facebook. It's worse than high school. They're bullies. They with reservation, you have to go and talk to a supervisor. The supervisors will pretty much oh, I can't help you. When the reservation agents know they can help them.
And see, what I hear right there is when you're looking at an organizational culture, and Covey talks about this, a lot of literature talks about this, about an organizational culture of trust. Does everyone buy in to the mission and the values of an organization? And that's, is that just up at the top end? Does it flow all the way down? Do people actually live the values, or is it just lip service? I mean, so those are some things. It sounds like and that could be just one supervisor or even one region, because if a certain regional coordinator or regional VP or whatever has a certain leadership style that is non-trusting, and that can just flow right down through their downline. And so then that could totally change. It may not be the corporate, but it could be that person's leadership style that could cause that mistrust. So Kellen, you'd raise your hand.
Well, yeah, I'm just thinking, if you're 2 seconds late and they get upset with you.
And if you're 30 seconds early, so you have to be right.
Wow.
So would that mean that somebody somewhere along the line took advantage of that trust? And could it be also that 3% who cheat the system turned into 7%? They realized, hey, I can get away with this if I am a little bit late. And so they had to come and slam the hammer down and say, no, we're losing too much money. It's the same thing with the Provo Rec. There's a reason they have all these little rules, because they're afraid they're going to get sued. And that 3% is going to cost them so much more than any benefits from giving trust away. I mean, it kind of reminds me of Rousseau's social contract that you're explaining, where you give all your rights to other people, but in return they give all their rights to you, so everybody shares equal rights. And just taking advantage of that trust is where you have the really stingy people.
And so here's the question, or the issue, at least kind of the way I'm seeing it, is that as the policymaker, because you have a few that maybe are taking advantage of, maybe it is 7%, and it's become 7%, it's grown from 3 to 7%. do you have metrics to be able to identify who they are. Why not go to them first and still maintain the trust that you have with everybody else? Kind of innocent until proven guilty, as opposed to, everyone's guilty, I'm just going to make the policy. So, yeah.
That's a very good question. I mean, GE did that, and they were notorious for they fired 10% of their employees every year just to weed out the bad people, and just to do that. And they were one of the most efficient companies in the world. But I don't know why people don't do that.
Well, and Jim Collins, he wrote a book called Good to Great, companies that went from good to great. Southwest is one, Walgreens is one. And he talks about this notion of getting the right people in the right place on the bus. You can have a lot of good people that are totally in the wrong place in your organization. And you could be just and then getting the wrong people off the bus, essentially, kind of what you're talking about. And having the ability and the fortitude to be able to get rid of people who just aren't a good fit. And again, unfortunately, not unfortunately, but you just don't do that in families. But in companies and things like that, you can. But again, it's how do we're grappling with some good issues.
It just said in the reading that, I don't remember which company, but they tried focusing on the 97%, and they said that 3% would stick out like sore thumbs. And it's true. I mean, you can see it, and I don't know if you've seen it in classes where like people, if they try and take advantage of the system or something like that. I don't know how it works looking at it from a teacher's perspective, but definitely in a business sense, you can definitely tell people are abusing the system. And I think it would be beneficial just to focus on the 97, just eliminate the 3%, or even if it is 90%, like it says in the book, even if it is 90%, still, sorry. 10% people doing bad things, 90% people doing good things. Still, you have that 90%. Why punish people for the one bad apple spoiling the bunch? That's not fair. Just get rid of the bad apple.
And I think in a classroom setting, I mean, Haley could talk about our classroom last semester. I mean, I didn't give points for attendance, and we had some that stopped attending, but they kind of weed out themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I don't judge them for not coming. If that's what they want to get out of the class, I still trust them. It doesn't change my trust that I extend to them, because that's just where they're at in their life. So it doesn't have to change the way I trust them. They have their natural consequences. They're not benefiting from being in class, but maybe they're getting what they need, but that doesn't change the way I extend trust in the way I create my policies for class.
And I think this and what you just said about the class actually correlates perfectly, because I don't want to stereotype, but you've got the winners, and you've got, well, maybe not winners and losers, but
The first winners and the second winners.
yeah, there you go. You have the people that actually get it. You have the people at GE, you have the 90% of the people at GE that love their jobs. It's an effective company, things get done. And then you have the 10% that are just not getting it. They're not the right fit. But that's losing your job because it's not the right fit is a beautiful thing. I don't think, and I wish it wasn't this way, but you lose your job, always people see it as a bad thing. Losing your job is just an opportunity to find a job that fits better. Those poor 10%, no, they're not the poor 10%. They're not. I think that's the only reason why we can't do it family-wise is if you don't fit in a family, you can't go try to find another family that you can fit into. I guess you